Hi everyone, and welcome to the Leo August 2021 Spiritual Connection reading. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot and Meaning-Based Spiritual Coaching Services. I am Lauren. Hi and welcome. So this is one of 3 connection readings I complete each month for each sign that focuses on some aspect of both self-awareness and awareness of your external environment and the people in it, and how best to connect your unique internal authentic self with your external environment to be able to better see your place and purpose and feel that connection to emotional fulfillment. So Leo, this is going to be your spiritual connection reading. In this reading, we're going to take a look at your energy, and we're going to take a look at the energy in your external environment and really get a chance to then pull cards to see what might be a potential challenge or block that is preventing you from taking your internal authentic self and engaging it with the energies of your external environment to better be able to understand where you can be of service in your external environment, and basically what you're being called to engage with. So, Leo, we're going to start with pulling a card for your energy here to see what you're currently sitting with right now. Oh, so we have the Knight of Cups. Now, the Knight of Cups is a card it's actually associated with the Zodiac sign Pisces in the tarot, but it's a card that focuses on your emotions. So the cups in the tarot represent your emotions. And the Knight of Cups is very tied to his emotions. This is the card that I always like to describe as the hopeless romantic. He embodies that spirit of kind of going out with his emotions wearing his emotions on his sleeve, so to speak, and really going out with this optimistic sense towards the external environment with this element of love and romance and, again, the hopeless romantic. Now, you can see here in this depiction, I know this is actually very hard to see. These are teeny tiny little cards. One of my favorite decks because it travels well, but very small. So you can see here on his helmet, he has the kind of wings of Mercury. So there's this quality element to this as well, that he's going out to kind of spread the word of love, of this kind of beautiful outlook on life that is very romantic. Now, at times this can also be an illusionary or illusionary energy, or an energy where you're kind of sitting with fantasy, where maybe you're not really wanting to see the reality of a situation, so you're choosing to kind of embody this. But that's not the feeling that I'm getting for you, Leo. I'm really getting the feeling that this month is you sitting with the energy of the hopeless romantic. I feel that there's this energy of kind of being content with where you are, and wanting to go out and share that. So when you see him with his open cup here, there's this quality of wanting to, again, wear his heart on his sleeve, so to speak. That this person wants to share with the world this feeling of love and optimism. So beautiful energy, Leo. I'm getting a really positive vibe from this. Now I'm going to pull a card for your external energy. So we're going to see what kind of destiny is calling your free will to engage with. So where does this beautiful energy of the hopeless romantic need to be brought into engagement with your external environment? Oh, we have the Hermit. Now the Hermit is a card of Virgo. It's a card of really understanding the principle that we can go within to find our guiding light. So in the tarot, there is this star, and the star is its own separate card. And the star represents our kind of guiding North Star that's unique to each and every one of us. That there is some aspect that is our grand hope or dream or vision for ourselves, and that is always in the sky guiding us. And in this depiction of the Hermit, he's holding the star in his lantern. But what this card is kind of meant to realize is that we can take that pause, go within, and when we think of the Hermit is usually an individual who is alone and, in a kind of meditative state with himself or herself. And we can go within and reflect and be able to find that guiding star from within us. And we can then bring that out to be able to not only light our own way forward, but to be able to actually share that with others. So it really is a card of being able to take that time to understand your own uniqueness. What makes you truly special? What is that light within you that you bring to every situation? And then really holding that out in front to understand yourself, for yourself, what makes you special and unique, but also that you're able to then share that with others as well. That then as you are shining that light of your innermost beauty, your innermost light outward, that you become almost like a beacon for others to be able to see that light, and you draw those that are, we're kind of thinking of either a lighthouse or moths to a flame, that others see that and are drawn to it. And that's actually how you can help illuminate the way for others. It's also a way for you to connect with others at the same time that are kind of a similar mindset. So when I'm looking at this kind of interplay here between your energy of the Knight of Cups and the Hermit, there's this quality of in tapping into this beautiful energy of wearing your heart on your sleeve and wanting to share kind of what's in your cup. So when we talk about what's in your cup, we're talking about what emotionally fulfills you. Where do you feel right now in your life that love is kind of overflowing to the point where you want to go out and share that with others? And actually to the point where you start to, it so colors your vision that you see it everywhere as well. And so there's this quality of really realizing and tapping into this energy within yourself, that's the first step in the journey to understanding your own light, is understanding what fills your cup and wanting to share that with others, the same way that the Hermit is sharing his internal light with others. Now I'm going to pull some cards here to be able to take a look at what's going on in the void. And now when I talk about the void, I am talking about something that actually, if you're more interested in kind of learning about the void and learning about the Triad of Engagement, which is a coaching tool I've developed to really help navigate challenges that prevent you from engaging as your most authentic self with your external environment. There are 2 links in the description box below, and you can learn all about both the Triad of Engagement and the void. But in its simplest terms, the void is a barrier, a protective barrier that we create as we move from childhood into adulthood, where as we try to connect authentically with our external environment. And this is where we share, parts of ourselves that are vulnerable. Well, this is when we don't get the best response. So let's say we try to share a part of our vulnerable self and it gets laughed at or ridiculed or misunderstood. We then put up a protective barrier between that part of ourself and our external environment so that we don't get hurt again. And where this can actually, when we start to do it, it seems that it's meant to be a protection for ourselves. But where it can actually become detrimental later in life is where we've done this so much that we've hidden so much of ourself from our external environment that we are no longer connecting on an authentic level. We are just going through the motions and engaging with our external environment, but we're not actually getting anything from it. This is when we stop being able to see meaning in the actions that we take, and we stop feeling that sense of value, both from our external environment, from what we do and the actions we choose to take, but also the reverse, that we start to feel that we are not being valued by our external environment. And that's because we're not engaging authentically. So we're just kind of going through the motions out here, and nothing is resonating with us on this deep internal emotional and spiritual plane. This is also where we can experience frustration and stagnation, where we start to feel that frustration of, well, how come my external environment doesn't represent who I am or what I want in my life? Or how come the people out here don't seem to see me for who I am? And vice versa, your external environment might also be feeling the same way. How come you always wondering why perhaps you are unhappy, or why perhaps you're not doing something else? It's because they're not able to see your full potential. So now I'm going to go ahead and kind of clarify what's going on here. So the cards that came out for you, we have the Six of Wands, the Ten of Swords, the Queen of Pentacles, the High Priestess, and Judgment. Now, the first card that came out here for you, Leo, is the Six of Wands, and this is your challenge card here. Now, it's interesting because the Six of Wands is actually a card that harnesses the energy of Leo in the tarot. You can actually see the lion back here as symbolizing that. And this card traditionally is a card of recognition. It's actually a very positive card. It's a card of being recognized for the actions that you've taken from a place of passion. And it's recognition by others. Now, where this can become a challenge, instead of just a great positive thing, is when we don't feel that we are being recognized. Or that we feel on one level we're being recognized for something that holds no value for us, or that we are putting a lot of effort into something and we are not being valued for that. We are not being seen. Our actions from a place of passion are not being recognized, and that can be very frustrating. And we then couple that with the Ten of Swords. And the Ten of Swords, I mean, you can see this card here. It looks, pretty dramatic, pretty painful. The Ten of Swords is a card that denotes being at your lowest point. It's a card of basically overkill. The traditional image of the Ten of Swords in the Rider-Waite Tarot is an individual face down with 10 swords sticking out of their back. Meaning at that point, it's like, again, how many more times can you get stabbed? You're already down. The beauty of the Ten of Swords is that it's a card that also reminds us that when we're at that place, there's no further, that's as low as we can go. That's getting to that place where you feel that sense of just complete, I have to kind of throw my hands up and just say, universe, help me, because there's nothing else that I can do at this point. And really where the positive aspect comes out, and it's kind of represented here with this ray of light coming through his mouth, or this individual's mouth, is that in going through that experience, we are able then to actually stand up, shake off those 10 swords, and be able to actually understand and turn around and see which sword out of all of those ends up being our personal truth that we take away from that experience. So it's the lessons that we learn that when we look back at, and it doesn't feel this way when we're going through it. When you're going through a Ten of Swords moment, where you feel like the whole world has just conspired against you and you are at your lowest point, of course that's horrible. and it can be very frustrating, very scary, very upsetting. But once you are past that, that's one of those moments that when you look back, let's say a few years down the line, you can look back and say, wow, look how far I've come since then. Or look at what I was able to endure and come up stronger than ever. It's one of these cards that makes us realize on an individual level what we are truly capable of bearing as far as suffering in our life, and where we are able to then overcome that and come away with our sword of truth, come away with some very integral aha realization about ourselves. And so there is this element here that I'm getting that you guys are being challenged by the fact that you have not been, that there's something that you've taken action towards that you have not been recognized for in the past. Now, this could be presently, or it could have been in the past. And it was very frustrating, to the point where you might have put in so much action that you then faced this feeling right here, which is hitting your lowest point. And then we go to the Queen of Pentacles, which is the crux of this, reading right here. So the Queen of Pentacles is a beautiful energy. It's the energy of the mother. It is the knowledge of where to put your time, energy, and resources into one thing, one tangible aspect of your life. So whether this is financial or physical as far as your home, or physical as far as anything that you can kind of touch and feel in your tangible world. The Queen of Pentacles represents that. She is the queen that does not waste her time scattering herself and her resources. She's the queen that comes back and nurtures one thing that she truly holds valuable. And it's a really beautiful energy of understanding where to kind of focus energy, but also to bring in this loving, caring mother energy. And so there is a little bit of this coming through for me here, that perhaps, this is kind of the energy you're being asked to face, to step into. Now, this could be for some of you, and I'm just seeing this here, this could be for some of you that you went through a very difficult period. There was this lack of recognition that I think you thought you were going to get from taking action. Not only did you not get that, but it brought in some very tragic event where you went through, you were very low. And at this point, you're being asked to step in and either A, deal with a mother figure in your life that perhaps is tied directly to this experience here. So this could be where you felt overlooked by your mother, you felt that you weren't nurtured for who you were, or that there was something very dramatic that happened around your mother or a mother figure in your life. Now, this could have been the passing away of a mother. This could have been something detrimental that had happened to this figure in your life. But really what you're being asked now to understand is that in going through that experience, you can step into that energy now. You can step into that beautiful, positive energy of being able to nurture something within your own life that is of value to you. And that's really what this whole experience was meant to bring about, was to allow you to understand perhaps where you took action previously and it didn't work out. It didn't bring in the rewards. It actually brought in something very negative. But now to see how far you've come and to realize that out from what you went through, you actually gained more clarity on your truth, more clarity as to what you're personally capable of, more clarity as to what holds value for yourself. And that this is kind of the lesson, the progression of realizing your own value. That if others don't value you or the action taking, you can do so for yourself. And this ties directly back into this beautiful kind of hopeless romantic quality of being able to give yourself the kudos for how far you've come. When we externalize this energy of the Six of Wands, where we're constantly looking for external validation for the actions that we take, that can oftentimes lead to this. And it can prevent us from actually being able to get into this kind of hopeless romantic feeling, because it leaves us constantly on guard. We're constantly trying to navigate where we can feel this fulfillment from somebody else, where we can get that kudos from somebody else, that external validation. And in reality, what this whole journey has been to show you is where you can give yourself that validation. You don't need that from the external environment. That comes from within, and then is meant to be shared with others. On the opposite side, so on the other side of the Queen of Pentacles, we have the High Priestess and Judgment. Two very powerful, heavy-hitting cards here. High Priestess is that knowledge that all answers lie within. That this is your direct communication to spirit, where at any given time you can tap into your intuitive knowing to be able to feel out a situation, to be able to answer a question that you have been struggling with, to be able to make some type of decision, important, big, life-changing decision. Because this card actually represents the number 2 in the tarot, which the number 2s in the tarot generally denote some type of choice or decision to be made. Now, coupled with Judgment, Judgment is an equally powerful card in that this really denotes change on deep internal spiritual change. This is when we feel that calling to rise up as a new person. This can look like waking up one day and looking at the career path you've been in for 20 years and realizing it holds no value for me anymore. And suddenly you don't know what to do. It can be a disruptive energy a lot of times, because it doesn't always mean that it's externally seen by others. This can be an internal realization where, again, you kind of just wake up and are a different person, or are being asked to move into being a new, better version of yourself. And that can be a very difficult process to face, because it does mean that in facing that, things in your external environment are going to change. Because if suddenly that career path that you've been on for 20 years holds no value for you anymore, well, then what is that going to mean for a stable job and a paycheck? Does that mean you have to go back to school to study something else? Does that mean that you take a sabbatical? Does that mean that you start your own business? There are all these questions that come up that then can ultimately change not only your internal experience, but your external experience as well. So there's this quality here of going through a very difficult, this is basically right now, Leo, what Spirit is asking you to realize is just how much you've gone through, how far you've come, but also to realize that at one point you were looking for external validation from either someone or something, your environment included, that was never going to be able to give you that validation, and that this whole journey was for you to be able to see yourself, to see your own internal sort of truth, to see truly what you were capable of, to be able to come back then to understand, actually, no, that lies within me. Emotional fulfillment lies within. And I can nurture, I can give myself that nurturing, loving, I don't know how else to put it, nurturing, loving, just experience myself. And I can also share that with others. And then moving here, this is where you now know how much this going through this experience has changed you. And it's hard to deny that, because you can't hide from your intuition, because she knows. And you can't hide from the ultimate call from Spirit, from the divine, from the universe, from God. Well, however you choose to see it, you can't ignore that call. Something within you has changed, and you now see an aspect of yourself differently, most likely from this. But Spirit is really asking you to engage now with this new part of yourself, this new stronger part of yourself, to take this hopeless romantic, this person who, and I kind of see the Knight of Cups as a little vulnerable. This is, he or she is a character that, when you think about it, a lot of really famous characters kind of embody this quality, where as you're watching them from an external perspective, you watch the kind of hero go through, or the main character go through the story, and at times you feel for them, because you're like, oh my gosh, they're so vulnerable, like they just told somebody they love them, or they just are being so truthful and honest, and this person's an awful person, and they're going to use this person or make fun of them. But in reality, what those characters generally show us in the end is that by staying strong in this power, this energy of love that comes from almost not being able to see anything else beyond love, that love does overcome. And those are characters like, the traditional, or not the traditional, the older character of Pollyanna. I'm also thinking of old books that I read when I was a child, like Rebecca of Sunnybrook Farm and Anne of Green Gables. I'm trying to think if there's a masculine version of this. Maybe Tom Sawyer. But they're characters that are forever optimistic, and again are willing to go out as their vulnerable self and to share the love that they have, not only for themselves but for others. And I feel now that that's really what you're being called to bring forward, and realize that that's actually your strength, that perhaps this is part of yourself you've hidden for some time because of what you went through here. That you went through this period of almost, this can denote a very dark period where you weren't the hopeless optimistic. And maybe that hopeless romantic was always within you, but you felt that you had to hide that part of yourself. And now what Spirit's telling you to do is that, no, this is actually what you were meant to uncover. This was what you were meant to be stripped down to the base elements so that you can see just how strong you are, and so that you can be able now to know truly what's in your cup, know what you value, to be able to go out as this new version of self, to light the way, to be able to see now your own unique value in the external environment and be able to use that as a beacon for yourself and for others, because this energy right now is desperately needed. Leo. And Leos, I think it couldn't come from a better sign. Because Leos, you are ruled by the heart. And that is your superpower. Your superpower is actually and you're ruled by the sun. That's your sign. The planet is associated with your sign. And so there's this quality of being able to just beam love, radiate love. And I really think that that's what you're being asked to step into this month, is to really step into being this person who communicates from a place of love, who communicates from a place of emotional fulfillment, who communicates from this place of almost this motherly, tender, unconditional love, and then realizes that this is what needs to be shared, and that this is your guiding light, that you no longer need external validation because it comes from within. And you will, with full faith, be able to meet the internal change you now feel, your internal change of perspective, to be able to really step up into the highest version of this, which is to shine the light for others to see and not just yourself. Very powerful reading, Leo. All right, I'm going to pull 3 additional cards for curiosity, courage, and contemplation. And we're going to engage the Triad of Engagement down here, which is what I was discussing earlier, which is a coaching tool that I've developed that really helps us to utilize the 3 very basic principles of curiosity, courage, and contemplation, but helps us to navigate over this void, to navigate across these challenges that really prevent us from connecting with awareness, our unique internal authentic self, with our external environment. So the first card I'm pulling here is an energy oracle card for the principle of curiosity. And this is where we're going to build in a question that we're going to ask ourselves to help make this message more personal, because this is obviously a communal message that applies to many different people who are watching this reading. But the question we're going to build around the energy of this card is going to help bring this message specifically home to you, to help you bring awareness to your unique internal self. Now, the principle of curiosity helps us engage with optimism, openness, and receptivity, which is right in alignment with the Knight of Cups. So we are using this question to bring awareness to ourself, along with the challenge we're facing, and to be able to look at it with fresh eyes, with the fresh eyes of optimism and openness and receptivity towards the answers that want to come in. And we have yin and yang. Number 22. So this card really, as you can see, denotes balance. Balance, fairness, balance between feminine and masculine energies. And the number 22 in numerology is a master number that that really brings in that energy of the master builder. This is somebody who is able to build with others. It's kind of the master architect. And so there is, but it's also, when you think about the number 2 too, it's a number that's perfectly balanced. And the number 2 individually is a number that denotes harmony, that denotes working with another. And so there's this beautiful energy here of curiosity as to, for the question that I would ask yourself throughout the month to kind of help harness that energy around really helping clear and navigate this block is, where have things been out of balance? Where where currently in your life and I would also look back. So with regards to the actual challenge and to this low point that you experienced in your life, where were things not balanced? Now, this could have been in a relationship where perhaps you had to take on the majority of the work and it was not a balanced relationship. It was a codependent relationship on one side or the other. Or it could have been in a place of work where you took on too much masculine energy and were the pusher and were doing, or the reverse. You were taking on feminine energy and you were receiving and you were kind of walked all over perhaps. This can also look like, trying to think of where else, if for some of you who are dealing perhaps with a mother issue, this could have been maybe where you had to mother your own mother instead of the reverse. So that's the question of curiosity that I'd really ask yourself to help open up to the specific issue that you are dealing with that pertains to this block right here. So asking yourself that question, where in the past when you were experiencing this low point, where was there an imbalance? And now, when you're starting to move forward, to think of now what has changed, what needs to either be brought in balance or what has already balanced out that has allowed you to really step into this beautiful energy. Okay, now I'm going to pull a Power of Surrender card for the concept of courage. And courage is where we get to engage with our seat of personal power, because courage is where we get a chance to have courage, to make the decision, to take those actions from a place of authenticity. So it's really about, if you think about it, curiosity builds the bridge between yourself and your external environment over the void you created. Courage is where we get a chance to actually step into the energy of taking action, where we have the courage to then walk across that bridge and engage authentically without all the fear, without all the barriers and the blocks and the masking that we've created. We get to engage vulnerably. So as you're thinking about taking courageous action and moving on whatever aspect of self has changed, and that can be, scary. Again, if this is something where you wake up and you have this internal realization, this change that's happening, that it might be very scary to act on it. And that's where that courage comes in. But the card that comes out is fantastically wonderful. You have surrender negative thinking. It says you have control over your thoughts. When negative thoughts surface, say, "Thank you for sharing," and quickly refocus on positive affirmations. So what this is telling me here is that we can get to that point where we tell ourselves those negative thoughts. Now, those negative thoughts could be based in what you've experienced here, where you tell yourself, well, no one will ever love me again. No one will love me the way that person loved me. Or I am unlovable because somebody in my life didn't love me, didn't see my value previously. Or this is where we get worried. Well, shoot, if I don't want to go to that same job I've been going to for 20 years, what am I going to do? And what this is telling you is, no, stop the negative thinking. You're the hopeless romantic. It's not, what am I going to do? It's, what am I not going to do? What does this amazing world out in front of me not have to offer? And that's really the change in perspective that when I was talking about those literary and fictional characters, and even, actually a good character, I was just thinking about it. There's a Disney Plus show with, a male character who plays a soccer coach in England, and I'm just totally missing, I can't remember the name of the TV show. But that show is such a great depiction of this hopeless romantic, of this element of, so we lost, we'll win the next one kind of thing. And he just keeps going. And staying true to this energy, it doesn't matter the choices he chooses to make and the risks that seem to be involved. He comes out ahead because he's always seeing the positive in every situation. And then people externally respond to that. They get caught kind of in his glow of his optimistic light, and they see where he's coming from. And then they too actually change because their perspective is changed along with his. And I really feel that that's kind of what you're being asked to step into here, is that quality of the hopeless romantic, of the optimistic soul, of somebody who only sees the best. And that if you're going to have to face a change, well, how exciting is that? All right, and then I'm going to pull one last card here for the concept of contemplation. And contemplation is where we get a chance to reflect on where we were curious, the answers that came up, and then the action that we took courageously. And then we get a chance to connect those dots and look at the consequences. What happened? This is where we get a great chance to hold ourselves self-responsible to the consequences of our actions. And this directly helps us be able to continue to self-educate through direct experience. It also allows us to stay very aware of where we're choosing to take action and what the results of those actions are. And it prevents us from getting stagnant, from becoming emotionally and spiritually stagnant because we're not aware. Because instead we are simply kind of sleepwalking through our lives. And this is where, we end up getting to the same bad relationship over and over again, or we go through the same workplace and, poor experience over and over again, even though we change work environments or we change partners. And so the more we build in contemplation and reflection, the more we're connecting dots between the actions we take and what's coming in, the more we're able to make those small adjustments and prevent ourselves from getting trapped in that kind of round and round and round stagnation wheel. So for you guys, for contemplation, you have awakening. It says energetic upgrades, a new way of being, integration. Well, that couldn't be more perfect for contemplation. So this is really where, when we think about building the bridge with curiosity towards our external environment, and we talk about courage is taking the action to actually walk across the bridge and engage. Contemplation is about coming back across that bridge so we get a chance to walk back and check in with ourselves. And I think for you guys, it's about checking in with yourself to realize there is a new way of being that you're being asked to basically step into right now. That you are going through this energetic upgrade period where you're being asked to realize your own strength, your own light, to be able to lead from a place of love for others to follow. And a great contemplation point would be, what's changed for you? What's changed, and where can you shine the light of love? Where can you bring in that the hopeless romantic, the forever optimist? And how can you directly tie the realization that emotional fulfillment lies within? How can you bring that out and share that with others? How can you bring your love for self into engagement with love for others and to show them how to do it as well? Okay, so as a final couple messages here, I'm going to pull some, not that many. I'm going to pull some clarification cards for the Knight of Cups and for the Hermit see if there's any other specific messages that want to come out. If you please show me some clarifications here for the Knight of Cups for our Leos. Any additional messages for the Knight of Cups and our Leos? So we have the Knight of Wands and the Five of Wands. And for the Hermit, any additional messages for the Hermit? Ooh. Okay, I'm going to take them. It's a lot. So we have the Ten of Swords again. We have the Fountain, the Knight of Cups, and the Nine of Swords. Okay, I think I'm seeing this. We're going to just go quickly through this. So Knight of Wands and Five of Wands. The Knight of Wands is a card of Sagittarius. So now there is a very specific message here for probably one or two of you guys. There is this quality that somebody here might have been dealing with a Sagittarius, and you are trying to force an outcome. So the Five of Wands is a card of kind of chaos, of taking action from a place of almost kind of competition. So there could be this quality here of maybe in the situation that brought you to this lowest point, that maybe you were dealing with a Sagittarius. And it's been kind of a difficult, combative, chaotic element. Now, for anybody who that does not resonate with, what this can also denote is that you're being asked now to basically embody the Knight of Wands. Now, the Knight of Wands is a card of Sagittarius, which really embodies the kind of spiritual adventurer. This is somebody who goes out there and takes action from a place of passion, but does it from a place of just what feels good. You know, I can see these two being best buddies and going out together, where he's going to be the one who's up for anything. He's like, where's the cool next adventure? And this is his, trusty sidekick, who's like always seeing the best in everything. So maybe he's always trying something out, maybe getting into a little bit of trouble, and he's the one who's always like, oh, we'll find a way out. And in doing that, the Five of Wands becomes more of a testing ground for your utilizing your own passions in the external environment. This is more where we get a chance to kind of go around, and in testing what feels good, we get to test ourselves. That this becomes more of a kind of competitive element than a combative element, where you get to join others in, if you kind of look at this, it looks like everybody has their own staff, and that they might be going out to kind of practice with each other to hone their skills. So there is this element here of going out optimistically out into the world from a place of wanting to take action again, and wanting to not be afraid of kind of jumping into the fray, so to speak. Now over here in your external environment, we have the Ten of Swords, we have the Fountain, the Knight of Cups, and the Nine of Swords. Now the Ten of Swords we already know, and actually this is a pretty good depiction of what I was saying, with an individual kind of curled up and the 10 swords in his back. Now the Fountain, I love this card. So this deck actually is called the Fountain Tarot. This card is unique to this tarot deck. And the Fountain to me represents, it always seems to me to represent that kind of last scene, or one of the last scenes in a 2001 Space Odyssey, where you kind of have that trippy, all these trippy visuals where the main character is kind of going through time and space. And there's this quality with the Fountain that it's kind of that seat of universal knowledge, that place where time and space and everything kind of exists and doesn't exist at the same time. It's the 0 point field. It's the everything and the nothing at the same time. And so there's this quality of basically having gone through something very difficult, but that that difficulty actually allowed you to tap into the wonder, the awe, the magic that life holds, and to kind of see life in a totally new perspective, because you were able to go through this portal. And now here you are coming out the Knight of Cups and wanting to share that, but it's a little scary. You have a little anxiety around that. Because what if he gets hurt again? But it's all a perspective change. So the Nine of Swords is a card of illusion. It's a card of the worries that keep us up at night. It's basically the worries that are like the monster under the bed. They don't exist, but we can make them very real in our minds. This is the negative thought patterns of the negative what ifs. Would be the antithesis to a main character who only sees the positive. This would be the opposite. This is the person who only sees the negative. So there's this element here of being asked to share your experience in the void, so to speak. And that's scary. It's scary to have to share that intimate experience that might not be, it might be difficult for you to actually put into words what you went through. But you're being asked to realize that these are just thoughts, and thoughts can be changed. It says you have control over your thoughts. When negative thoughts surface, say, thank you for sharing, and quickly refocus on positive affirmations. And that's it. And in reality, why characters that are based around this kind of mentality mindset, why they continue to always come out ahead in these movies and books that we read, it's based on their perspective, because this never enters into the equation for them. And so they're only seeing the possibilities before them. And even when maybe they get laughed at or mocked, because they continue to have that optimistic perspective, eventually the others around them start to see the same. And that's the power of love. That's the power of true, divinely inspired optimism. And that's also truly stepping into that place that Spirit's asking you to step into, where you know yourself. You know who you are. You know what makes you shine. You know how to shine that out there for yourself, but you also know its value, so that when you shine it and others come to you, you know how to communicate it. And everybody is so thirsty for the fountain right now. Everybody is so thirsty for that optimistic message. Everybody needs this perspective of going deeper and beyond, and understanding that you can almost literally go through death and rebirth and come out more in love with yourself, and more in love with life, and more in love with others. That this doesn't have to be all negative. That actually it's the positive. And these are just thoughts. Ted Lasso. That's the name of that TV show on Disney+. For anybody who wants to check it out. Wonderful, very well written show. All right. I hope this has been illuminating, Leo. This has been a very powerful reading for me. It's beautiful, very powerful. I feel for you guys for what you've gone through, but I can say, wow, wow, what you're going through right now is incredible. And what you're going to be asked to bring out and shine out for others is needed, very much so right now. All right, Leos, if you'd like to book a personal tarot reading or a one-on-one coaching session, the link to my website is in the description box below. Otherwise, I hope you get to check out your other two readings for the month of August, and I look forward to reading for you in September. Have a wonderful rest of your day and the wonderful rest of August. Bye, Leos.